Why aren't you meditating? Unveiling the laziness of consciousness and the hidden obstacles to inner enlightenment. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, we often find ourselves caught in an endless cycle of activities, striving to complete tasks and meet external demands. Amidst this frantic rush, a pressing question arises. Why do we neglect meditation, a practice that promises a gateway to tranquility and mental clarity? We might justify it by citing a lack of time or an unsuitable mood, but the truth runs far deeper. It's not physical laziness that hinders us from meditating, but the laziness of consciousness. The irony is that we often engage in activities far more stressful and demanding than simply sitting and meditating for a few minutes. Yes, what prevents us from meditating isn't laziness in its material sense, but the laziness of consciousness, the soul's resistance to delving into the depths of the self and confronting the truths lying within. Often, the most active people in the external world are, in fact, the laziest on a spiritual level, as they escape confronting their true selves by immersing themselves in the clamor of life. Meditation isn't for everyone in the stereotypical sense. It's important to recognize that meditation in its stereotypical form might not suit everyone. If you find traditional meditation difficult, don't despair. There are many other ways to achieve mental clarity and spiritual elevation. Some find serenity in music, while others find it in deep silence. The important thing is to find the method that resonates with your soul's nature and helps you clear your mind and elevate your consciousness. Laziness of consciousness, the outcome of brain chaos and ego dominance. The laziness of consciousness is often linked to brain chaos and ego dominance. When the brain is submerged in a sea of conflicting thoughts and confused emotions, it becomes difficult to direct consciousness inward and practice meditation. The ego, in its constant desire for control, resists any practice that threatens its authority, and meditation is one of the most prominent of these practices. Why do we surrender to the laziness of consciousness? There are multiple reasons why we surrender to the laziness of consciousness and shy away from meditation, including ignorance of the true benefits of meditation. We might be unaware of the profound benefits of meditation, limiting our understanding to mere temporary serenity. We fail to realize how meditation can grant us true reassurance, lasting inner peace, and the desired spiritual elevation. Fear of confronting the self. Meditation puts us face to face with ourselves, revealing aspects we might not want to confront, such as the self-reproaching soul, negative emotions, and bitter truths. This fear of self-confrontation might push us to escape meditation and engage in noisy external activities. Ego resistance. The ego resists meditation because it realizes that this practice undermines its authority. The ego always seeks to maintain its dominant position and fears anything that threatens this status. Initial feelings of boredom and discomfort. Initially, we might feel boredom and discomfort during meditation, finding it difficult to quiet our thoughts and focus. This initial feeling can be frustrating, leading some to abandon meditation before experiencing its true benefits. Repentance and returning to the right path. The laziness of consciousness isn't an inescapable fate. Rather, it's a state that can be overcome through repentance and returning to the right path. Repentance here isn't just seeking forgiveness with words, but a genuine repentance that manifests in changing behavior and correcting one's course. When we recognize the reality of the laziness of consciousness and its causes, and become aware of the value and importance of meditation in our spiritual journey, the genuine desire for change begins to emerge. Meditating on life's details, a path to deep consciousness. Some may find traditional meditation difficult, but they can start by meditating on the details of daily life. Even the simplest things, like buying an item from a shop, can transform into an opportunity for meditation and self-discovery. By paying attention and focusing on these small details, we begin to know ourselves more deeply and precisely, and discover new aspects of our consciousness every day.
Breaking the cycle of laziness and redirecting energy. To break the cycle of spiritual laziness and redirect energy towards meditation, you can follow these steps. Start gradually. Don't try to force meditation on yourself suddenly. Start with a short time, e.g. 3 minutes, then gradually increase the duration. Choose a suitable time. Dedicate a specific time for meditation in your day and try to stick to it as much as possible. Early morning or evening before bed might be suitable times for some. Prepare a quiet environment. Choose a quiet place free from distractions for practicing meditation. The lighting can be dim and the temperature moderate. Use aids. Using some aids initially might help you stay awake and attentive during meditation, such as a keychain held in your hand, so if you doze off, it falls and wakes you. Focus on something simple. At the beginning of meditation, fix your gaze on something simple and close to you, a spot on the wall, a candle, a flower, or focus on your sense of hearing and listen to the surrounding sounds. Don't resist thoughts. When thoughts attack you during meditation, don't resist or try to suppress them. Simply observe them and let them pass, then gently return to your point of focus. Be patient and persistent. Don't expect immediate results. Progress in meditation comes gradually with continuous practice. Be patient with yourself and don't despair if you encounter difficulties at first. Fear of the unknown, another obstacle to meditation. In addition to laziness, the fear of entering the unknown world might be another obstacle preventing some from meditating. Meditation leads us to unknown areas in our consciousness, and we might fear what we might discover in these depths. But we must realize that this unknown isn't necessarily frightening. Rather, it might be full of spiritual treasures and lights waiting to be discovered. A clear conscience and self-harmony, an essential condition for meditation. No one can reach the stage of true meditation unless their conscience is clear and they are at peace with themselves. If the conscience is burdened with sins and mistakes, and if the soul is in a state of internal conflict, it becomes difficult to achieve the stillness and mental clarity necessary for meditation. Therefore, purifying the conscience and achieving harmony with the self is an essential condition for progress on the meditation journey. The voice of the self-reproaching soul, a challenge to be faced. When we are alone with ourselves and try to meditate, the voice of the self-reproaching soul may rise, holding us accountable, criticizing us, and stirring feelings of brokenness and regret. This voice can be annoying and discouraging, pushing us to escape meditation and return to the clamor of external life. But we must realize that this voice is part of the internal purification process and must be faced and accepted with patience and compassion. Conflict and balance. Our external senses play tricks on us, distracting our attention from the inner world. Meanwhile, the influence of our two internal senses, insight and intuition, is almost non-existent in our daily lives. Therefore, when we meditate, we are fascinated by the external senses and carried away by them, instead of turning inward and listening to the voice of the soul. We must diminish the influence of the external senses a little, that is, reduce their control over us, so that we can truly meditate and allow the two internal senses to emerge and exert their influence. This can be achieved through conscious observation and not blindly following sensory desires and cravings. Non-action, the hardest kind of action. Non-action is the hardest kind of action. This is a profound truth that embodies the essence of meditation. Meditation is an act of non-action. It is the effort of not acting. It is the pursuit of stillness and mental clarity by not interfering with the flow of thoughts. In a world that values constant activity and material achievements, non-action might seem strange and unfamiliar. But in reality, non-action is the highest ascent, the path to inner peace and deep consciousness. Meditation isn't always enjoyable, but it's necessary. We might sometimes feel bored or unenjoyed during meditation. This is natural, as meditation isn't always an enjoyable experience in the superficial sense. Rather, it is a serious endeavor that requires patience and perseverance. The laziness of consciousness holds mixed emotions, and focusing on one feeling through meditation can be a challenge. But we must remember that meditation isn't just entertainment or recreation. It is a spiritual necessity for purifying consciousness and elevating the soul, an obstacle to overcome. It's not just laziness. There are those who fear entering the unknown world. The fear of the unknown is a real obstacle that prevents many from delving into the depths of consciousness. But we must realize that this unknown isn't necessarily frightening. Rather, it might be full of spiritual treasures and lights waiting to be discovered. Temptation is worse than murder, and the temptation of external senses can distance us from the inner truth. Therefore, we must slightly diminish the influence of external senses so that we can truly meditate and allow the two internal senses to emerge and exert their influence. The key is close, but laziness obscures the view. My father taught us to look around the room for tools to open the door, but laziness makes you miss seeing the key close to the door, but you don't meditate, so you don't see it. The key to tranquility and mental clarity might be very close to us, but spiritual laziness obscures our vision of it. Meditation is the key, but laziness prevents us from seeing and using it. Temptation is worse than murder, and the temptation of spiritual laziness can be more deadly than any other temptation because it distances us from the true path to salvation. Overcome spiritual laziness and embark on the meditation journey. The laziness of consciousness is a real obstacle that prevents many from practicing meditation and achieving its spiritual benefits. But this laziness isn't an inescapable fate. Rather, it can be overcome with willpower, perseverance, and awareness of its hidden causes. Let's break the chains of spiritual laziness and embark on the meditation journey with open hearts and inquiring minds. And let's make meditation a constant companion on our path towards tranquility, mental clarity, and the desired spiritual elevation.